Welcome to Italics, television for the Italian-American experience. I'm your host, Anthony Tamburri. On this episode of Italics, we head to the studio for an interview with New York Times bestselling author, filmmaker, and playwright Adriana Trigiani. Adriana grew up in Virginia and has made Italian-American life and culture central to her work. Her novels, from Big Stone Gap and The Shoemaker's Wife, to her latest, The View from Lake Como, celebrate family, heritage, and the immigrant journey. She has also written and directed films, created the Origin Project to inspire young writers in Appalachia, and earned international recognition for her contributions to literature and culture.
I have vowed never to miss a sunset in Carrara. I pour myself a glass of wine and go out on the balcony. I sit and rest my feet on the railing. Today, I expanded my view because I went to the mountaintop. I sipped the earthy wine, a rich red. Soon the mountains recede into shadow as darkness falls, and the marble peaks emerge, catching the last of the light. The peaks become the glittering points on a crown that appear to float on the horizon. Here below, I live where Michelangelo, the Duchess, and my ancestors once walked. There is so much to learn because so much is hidden. I didn't know the quarry would conjure such an emotional reaction in me. People have secrets, but places have them too.
Hey, Adriana, welcome to Italics.
Thank you, dear Anthony. I'm so happy to see you.
It's great to have you here. You've had great success with your books. They've been basically all very well received, very well reviewed. So when you were young and thinking about what you were going to do as a grown-up, where was writing in your head at that time?
Well, my mom was a librarian, and she was also a stay-at-home mother after she had 7 kids. So I always thought of books as this incredible gift to the planet because of the way my mother looked at books, the way she thought about reading. So it kind of starts with your parents, and my parents were both college educated, which I realize now is a big gift to the child. Because, and my mother used to say this about women, she said, women need the college degree almost more than the man does because they're inculcating the children on a daily basis with thoughts and ideas and potential and possibilities. And I believe that for me, that love of books and being so interested in storytelling and reading, like, you know, I would set my sight on a shelf in the library and read everything. That's the kind of reader I was, and I kind of still am, maybe worse.
Yeah.
So, you know, Anthony, really, I just took to it. And in my home, education was the dream, the goal, and there was no negotiation about education. So I'm one of 7 college-educated kids, and there are a couple in there with advanced degrees. So it's everything to us.
So you started your writing career in TV, correct?
Prior to that, Anthony, I was a playwright. I was a theater major, a drama major, and I studied all of the 3 disciplines inside of that, which would be directing, writing, and acting. And acting I was terrible at, but I learned how to communicate with actors that I love. And then, of course, you know, the other aspects of the discipline, the playwriting was really important because I did a lot of writing, obviously. And I put my education together with the intention that education was going to be the way I made my living. So when I was in college, I took every class I could and sometimes twice to really get it down because I knew I was going to move to New York, which I did the minute I graduated and hit the ground running for this career in show business. I like to call it.
Yeah. And so when you got to New York, what was your first job?
Well, a lot of Italian Americans that listen to this are going to know this restaurant. It's called the Vesuvio. And Anthony Cascioli was a kind of, their family was distant cousins to mine in Rosetta, Pennsylvania. And my aunt and uncle called him, and they had daughters too, and a son, Ernie, who was working at the restaurant. Everybody worked at the restaurant, as is the Italian way. And they had a room upstairs, and we called it Upstairs at the Vesuvio, and we put an act on up there. I cast a bunch of young women in it, and I was off to the races.
And then you moved into TV, correct?
That is correct. I got into television because I was so broke, and I have two friends, Suzanne Gluck and Ruth Pomerantz, who were on their way up just like I was. And Ruth was a producer and Suzanne was an agent, and they said, you have to do this because you can do it. And I was very quick because I had a sketch comedy team, and I had a lot of small plays, like one-act plays that looked like TV. Of course, I didn't know that at the time, but that's what got me the jobs. The first staff job I got was at A Different World, directed by Debbie Allen, helmed by Susan Failshill and Margie Peters and Thad Mumford. And they hired me onto the show, and I learned everything because Debbie Allen, we call her the professor, the great Debbie Allen, gotten every award in the world. She deserves them. She taught us to work through the whole cycle of making a sitcom. So when it was your episode, you were involved in the casting. You were involved in the post-production with the producer, Joanne Curley-Kerner. And it was really like grad school.
Yeah.
And then I went on and I did a whole lot more of that and really loved it. I'm really proud of a show called City Kids. I was the showrunner on, which means it's a top job. You're the executive producer and writer, which was shot in New York, which was so exciting. And then other shows. Bill Persky was a mentor on a show called Working It Out. I worked for Farrah Fawcett, Ryan O'Neal, and Alan Zweibel on a show called Good Sports.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I did the Dolly Parton show.
Right.
And Dolly is my lifelong friend because of that. And I worked with the best of the best, Gail Berman. I mean, these folks that went on in their own careers to do huge things, but they taught me basically that the sky was the limit. So as a dramatist, I could make a good living, I could be bi-coastal, and I could have a career that would be very satisfying.
You decide at one point, okay, I'm going to write a novel.
That's right.
Now, that had to be a little bit scary, I would say, before you put fingers to the keyboard.
Well, I didn't tell anyone. When I wrote Big Stone Gap, I first wrote it as a screenplay, the novel, which is my debut novel, which came out, drum roll, 25 years ago.
Wow.
I didn't know if I would like being a novelist. So I was working on a television show called Links for Tim and Daphne Reed, Susan Failshill. See, I always remember the people because the people are everything to me in my work. I was working for them down in Virginia. We were doing a television show for Showtime, and I would get up 3 or 4 hours earlier and work on this novel for over a year. And I was writing the story of a small town pharmacist where I grew up, who was a girl I actually grew up with. And as one of the few Italians in that region, we soon discovered there were some other people with bloodlines and roots in Italy that made sort of the whole experience of growing up in Big Stone Gap really wonderful, because you realize wherever there is manual labor, there are immigrants.
Right.
Always.
Right.
Whether my mother's people are from the Iron Range of Minnesota and my grandfather was a shoemaker and my grandmother was a seamstress, or if we're talking about Appalachia, you can find clusters of Italians there in West Virginia. A lot of times through the church, through the Catholic Church, you could find your people.
That Italian community in Appalachia, in West Virginia, was a community that was built on hard work. The infamous mine accident, Monog, for example. And
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we're deep in that soil. We're deep in the soil. Many immigrant cultures are deep in the soil of Appalachia, and that's, I think, what its strength is. So all of that influenced the first novel, and it ended up to be a series of 4, which I recommend. If you're going to do it, teach yourself how. And I was very blessed, but I had been working as an author for professionally for 10 or 12 years when I wrote the novel. And I felt like, well, I can always just make the movie and I'll have this template I can give the actors. I can give it to the actors. I could say, read this. This is the novel that'll never get published. But then the novel got published. Then I wrote and directed the movie, and it took me about 13 years.
The movie, to get the movie.
To get it made.
Yeah. People don't realize what it takes to get a movie made with first and foremost funding, right? So you have to go out, then you have to find the actors, then you have to hope that they say yes, the ones you want, and so on and so forth. It's not an easy process.
In every way, I was blessed.
Yeah.
I had an incredible cast, and we were a little band of artists in my hometown.
Yeah.
Just did in, and took over.
I was born and raised in Big Stone Gap.
Morning, beautiful.
I don't know why you honking the horn. I'm standing out here black as night. I know you can see me.
Before I knew it was 1978 and I turned 40. I was the old maid.
At this point, you just gotta take whatever you can get.
He was out last night with Sue Tinsley.
Come on, she's a catch.
Okay.
Gary Cooper of Big Stone Gap.
You had your share of suitors.
Jack Mac likes Ave Maria.
You know less about men than you do about cosmetics.
Woo!
So this latest book has a wonderful title. And I'm looking at it here, the nice big poster, The View from Lake Como.
Yes.
So everybody wants to read about Lake Como, but it's not the Lake Como they think about,
tell
right?
the truth, though. It's Lake Como, New Jersey.
Yes.
And then Lake Como, Italy, because my mother's side of the family is Lombardian, and I have spent a lot of time on Lake Como.
Yeah.
My family on my mother's side are from Bergamo, Scilpario, Ville Minore, on the mountain, and you all know that it's pretty close to go over to Lake Como, and it always enchanted me. Lake Como, Italy is not just beautiful, and it was not really an enclave of the rich.
No.
It really wasn't. There was an old beat up, now we're going back 100 some years, but there was a big castle there that is now the Villa d'Este Hotel.
Yeah. That's
where the English king hid his daughter there. And, it's where Hannibal's army came over the Alps. And I mean, it's not just the beauty, it's the vibe of the place. It's so peaceful and serene, like any place on earth that is like that, it was hard fought for on some level.
Yeah.
And I just noticed, the book took me, when I get an idea, Anthony, takes me maybe 15 years to really let it percolate.
Yep.
And I was intent upon writing my Venetian great-grandmother's story. And then I wrote a novel called The Good Left Undone, and I listened to the audience, and there was too much historical fiction out there. So instead of setting it at the turn of the last century with my great-grandmother, I moved her to today.
Yeah.
I took her story and I reinvented it. And so The View from Lake Como is about a woman whose life falls apart, and she builds a new life and the house that goes with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the help of her uncle Louis Capodimonte at Capodimonte Marble and Stone. The Capodimontes busted rock and a quarry in Italy for generations, and then came over here and busted slate until we figured out how to sell the marble. We are hardworking Italian Americans who have done all right. And there was a time when all right was enough because we had each other. I didn't think we were held together by our bank accounts or our lust to fill them. I believed we had a mission as Italian Americans to love one another. I look at my family. Their expressions are frozen. until my mother decides to scream at me. Dear God, fine. We decided to help your brother. My mother gets louder, more vehement, more defensive. We saw an opportunity to do better, to finally have a professional in the family. And didn't it come in handy when the FBI showed up at our door?
And comedy comes in. So, and I mentioned
it's all about that, Anthony. It's all about commedia. Yes.
And I mention that because for the View from Lake Como, you did this. Now, are you finished now with the tour? Or are you still doing it?
I have a few more stops.
Okay, so just so our viewers know, you did this. Months long. How long has it been thus far that you've been doing this tour?
I've been out there now about 3 months.
And we saw it, and it's beautiful. It's wonderful.
So
but it's
great.
A comedy. It's a comedy. Yeah, you do stand up.
That's right.
Here's the great novelist Adriana Trigiani doing stand up, and it's about family.
That's right. Yeah. Everything to me, including my books, is about that matrix.
Yeah.
Throughout civilization of the family. And so my brother's band and my brother joined me on the road for a series of shows. Thank you. They all sold out thanks to your beautiful viewers who came out for us.
Ladies and gentlemen, my sister, Adriana Trigiani.
Italiano.
My brother Michael is so gifted as a musician and songwriter, and he said we need a tour manager, and so we hired my brother Carlo, and then my sisters. I have 4 sisters along the way, all participated in events.
So it was a family
whenever
affair.
I do anything with my sisters, it's always involved in charity. We're always doing something good for somebody, which, by the way, I'm very grateful to them for. And it's really interesting with our parents gone now. Some of us have kids, some of us don't. It's a beautiful family.
Yeah.
And I felt such a feeling, Anthony, of completion because my themes go to family, and then my heart is with that. So the comedy flows.
Yeah.
I made my living all these years is writing comedy.
Right. No, it's a great, and for those who may be able to get a ticket for the remaining shows, it's definitely worth it. We had fun. We saw you at the College of Staten Island a few months back, and it was great. It was wonderful. And you just had everyone laughing in a good sense. Yeah.
Good, Anthony. I'm so glad.
It was great. And if we can't laugh at ourselves, right, then we're in trouble, right?
You know, I think in our culture, Anthony, and you know this better than me, really, is the Italian American, they can say anything they want about us. And you know, if we weren't so tough, it might hurt our feelings. But our way is to culturally lift and inform so that the stereotypes don't bog us down. You know, we got to understand that this is in a certain sense, in our experience, in our family histories, that we're suspicious and we're cautious, but we're also deeply loyal and loving. Yeah. But I have to tell you, we have to deal head on with those stereotypes. Yeah. Always make the conversation about that, and read all authors who write in all ways about our experience. I think that's really important, really important.
You know, I want to compliment you on a couple of things. Working with what we might call I don't know if it's the or one of the many Italian American communities. You're out there. You're out there in various and sundry ways. Your Facebook program, in which you have basically just about all the great American writers, many of them are Italians that you have on.
Yes. What does it mean to you to be Appalachian?
Well, I think it's a source of great pride, mostly because most of the world teaches you to be ashamed of that.
I don't know if you know this. Yours was the first one I ever did.
No way.
Ever.
It remains one of our most popular episodes of all time.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
This one's, they're going to go crazy now.
That's one of the gifts that reading fiction can give you. It's an exercise in empathy for a lot of us.
So there's actually a Papan family book of all the meals through the years on special holidays and remembrance days and birthdays.
Not 12 book.
You would go in LA for a sandwich. Every day you went for that sandwich. Every day. And then A Time to Kill opened and boom.
Woo! Sandwich was the same, but the world around it wasn't. The fish with those pickles on that toasted sourdough with ketchup on the side and mayo on it. That was the...
I would call it a gift back to, one, the reading community at large, and two, especially the Italian American reading community. And that's something that I think is really important that people don't always recognize about the very few of you who do that. I wanted to mention that. I wanted to make sure.
Well, I'm in incredible company. Lisa Scottolini, David Baldacci, Lorenzo Carcaterra, Joe Piazza is new and up and coming. I mean, we have so many. Anthony, your beautiful books. I try to make a bouquet to pull in the academic, like Fred Gardefay.
Yeah.
I try to pull in all of our thinking, all of our think tanks, all of our lodges and communities, and I hope that we're supporting each other as much as we can. That's what this is all about, is a sense of community. And I know it came from my parents.
Yeah.
Because they were very community focused and involved in Appalachia, in Southwest Virginia, where I was raised. They were involved in everything. Yeah. And, we're losing that sense of community. Hopefully not in the Italian American community. We tend to make it a priority, our Sunday dinner and getting together and being in community. So, it is a vibrant, important community that cares about storytelling and history and memory.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say to those in our community, we got to fight every day to honor those that came before us and to honor the traditions and, perhaps most importantly, to restore the word immigrant as a word of honor in this country, because it was in my home growing up. Like the first time I heard it, I thought, how incredible, the word immigrant.
Yeah.
It said everything in that word, is that you emigrated to do better, be better, raise the stakes, provide for your family, build a future. And then, of course, you could just look at history. Look at American history and how we participated in what we did. Yeah,
I agree with you 100%. The word immigrant needs to be redefined. It needs to gain back. I mean, we are a country of immigrants, and we will always be, hopefully, we will always be a country of immigrants. I mean, without the immigrants, this country would not be where we are today in the good sense.
And also to remember that when our people came over, we were fed at Ellis Island. Our children were given milk. Our babies were given milk after that horrific passage.
Yeah.
Now, you could say that the government, the United States government, was looking at a pretty great workforce coming over.
They sure were.
But you could also say, in the land of opportunity, what you did for me, I must repay you for your kindness. Yeah. When you tell the immigrant story of the Italians, you shore up everybody.
Yeah.
And that's the point of it all.
Yeah.
That really is the point of everything, is that it's a sisterhood, a brotherhood, it's a family of men and women that, hold this all together from all parts of the globe.
All right. Well, listen, enjoy the rest of the day. Again, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thanks for watching this episode of Italics. I'm Anthony Tamburri. Arrivederci alla prossima puntata.